A lot of people ask the question, how long does a divorce take in Texas? And the answer is, I wish I had a crystal ball and could tell you exactly how long your divorce will take in Texas. I don't. But here are some general guidelines you can count on when estimating how long your divorce will take. First of all, in the state of Texas, a divorce cannot be finalized in any less than 60 days. So you know it's going to take at least 60 days. Now, I have found in my experience, most divorces will settle somewhere around the 6 to 9 month mark. That's usually the time it takes for people to gather all the information they need to pull together to begin to adapt to the custody schedules and the new arrangements and kind of get their head wrapped around all the changes that are happening. And so for most people, usually we'll see settlement in 6 to 9 months. Now, there are certainly cases where it will take a lot longer than that. And the reason why a divorce is going to take longer than 6 to 9 months is generally because of the level of conflict in the divorce process. So if the parties can't agree on anything, we don't agree on who the children are going to live with primarily, we don't agree on the values of certain properties, and we have to bring in experts to do investigations and, kind of look behind the curtain and do valuations for maybe there's a family business, or we can have experts who are, giving a recommendation regarding the parenting. In those circumstances, we can expect a divorce will take well past a year. It could be a year, 18 months. In some cases, it can be 2 to 3 years. There are the outliers where it takes a lot longer than that. But most of the time, I would say even in high conflict cases, you're probably looking at about a 2 to 3 year process. So there's good reason to do a lot of homework on the front end to get really educated about the divorce process, to understand, where do the battles happen, what's worth fighting over, what's not worth fighting over. And that's something we feel really strongly about. We want people to be empowered with that information so they can have more control over the process, and that will lessen the length of time that it takes to get a divorce. Some of the leading factors that will impact the length of divorce are, do you have children? And are you not in agreement regarding some of the basic issues regarding your kids? So let me back up and tell you a little bit about some of the things that you have to decide on when it comes to your children. So we break it into 3 subcategories. The first one is what we call in Texas conservatorship. And a conservatorship is really another word for rights and duties. How are you all going to be making decisions about your children? Included in this bucket of things you have to decide on is, where will the children live primarily? Are they going to live with one parent or the other? Are they going to, just live within a certain geographic area? Are they going to live equally with both parents? So that's the first question, is conservatorship. And I will say it is presumed in Texas that both parents will be what we call joint managing conservators, so that they're going to be sharing decisions in one way or another. The next bucket where we have to make decisions is the possession schedule. So how are you all going to be sharing time with your children? The state family code does give us a guideline. Again, it's presumed to be in the best interest of the children that one parent will have a little bit more time than the other when we follow the standard possession order. Standard possession order refers to that schedule where one parent has first, third, and fifth weekends. The other parent has second and fourth weekends. The parent with first, third, and fifth weekends also gets a weeknight during the school year. Typically, that's a Thursday night. And then the children are with the other parent the rest of the time. There's also a holiday schedule to follow. And a lot of people are surprised when it comes to holiday schedules that we really only covered the big holidays. It's the Christmas, winter break holiday, it's a spring break, and Thanksgiving. So, and then there's also Mother's Day and Father's Day. And for same-sex couples, deciding who gets what Father's Day or Mother's Day is usually a topic of conversation. And then the other possession issue is summer. How are we going to allocate summer? So again, there's a standard possession schedule that goes for summer. It's typically 30 days. It could be a little longer if you live farther apart. That's what we call the standard possession schedule. Now, a lot of parents like to vary from that. Maybe that doesn't fit with their work schedules. Maybe they want to do a variant of a 50-50 where they're sharing equal time. So we can carve it up. It basically, the possession schedule can be whatever you all are willing to agree to. But that's the challenge. Are you going to agree to that? The third and final bucket of area of decisions that we have to talk about is child support. How are you all going to meet the financial needs of the children? And I keep going back to the Texas Family Code, but that's our guideline. That's what we have to operate under, especially if we're going to court. If the parties are able to reach agreements, then they can do whatever they want to do between the two of themselves, just so long as within reason, and your lawyer can help you with that. But in general, there's what we call a guideline child support amount, and it's a percentage of net income. And the important thing for a lot of families that they're surprised is that net income actually caps out at $8,200 a month. So if you're making above that amount, it doesn't really matter. But if you're making below that amount, then the amount of child support will vary depending on the number of children and the amount of net income. So those are the main issues that have to get decided for parenting. Then we switch over to the property. And so where are some of the areas that can make things complicated in the property? Well, do you own a house? Is there a mortgage on the house? Whose name is on the deed? Whose name is on the mortgage? How are we going to allocate the debt? Who's going to stay in the house? So, obviously there are lots of questions to answer there. Another area of discussion is, do you own a business? Is it a business that's just like a private practice? Is it just a law firm with one lawyer and, maybe some staff, or is it, a jewelry store on the corner? Those are going to be valued differently, and we have to call in valuation experts, and that can take some time. Another issue that we are deciding in divorce is allocation of, retirement benefits, 401ks, IRAs. There are other types of employee compensation like stock units and the stock options, deferred compensation. So, knowing and understanding how those plans work and what the options are is super important. And so a lot of this we can do ahead of time before if you're considering filing for divorce, trying to pull together as much of that information as possible is going to be really helpful to streamlining the process and making things go a lot easier during the process. But, there are just some issues that people have a difficult time reaching resolution on. And, maybe the only way you're going to get there is to have a judge decide it for you if you can't reach an agreement. And that's why the courts are there. So you're not going to linger forever in, divorce land, but you're going to have to spend some time there. And, my goal is always to help our clients move through it as efficiently as possible. But we obviously want to make sure we get answers to some of those big questions.